Hello, home mechanics. So the other week I ran my Jeep over to the dealership for its 34,000 mile service. I thought it was kind of odd, 34,000 miles. All the years I've owned vehicles, the big service is always the 30s. 30, 60, 80, 120. But Jeep does it 130 or 34,000. But what do I know? Maybe everybody's going to 34,000. At any rate, while they was doing the service, they noticed that they told me that I needed brakes. And I have a maintenance contract on this truck, but they said my maintenance contract doesn't cover parts or service for the brakes or labor. So they invited me to go into the dealership's parts house and buy their parts at their dealership prices and try it out here and bring them out to the mechanic and have their dealership at their dealership shop rates of $195 an hour per month. I told him, no, I'd check it out. Now something else I thought was kind of odd too, the guy, I ran into the mechanic, well I saw it on the invoice too. It said that the fronts only had 2 millimeters, 4 millimeters, but the rear had 2 millimeters. Well, what's odd about that is that ever since vehicles have had disc brakes, the front brakes always do most of the work, and the front brakes are always lower than the back, more wear. That's just the way the natural nature of the beast is. So I thought it was odd that the back would have twice as much wear as the front. Well, twice as much left over. And I'm not into metric. 4 millimeters, 2 millimeters, what the hell is that? I Googled it, and 2 millimeters is 1/64th of an inch. Damn! Are you kidding me? So the front, the 4 millimeter, would be 1/32nd. You know, the highway patrol will write you up on your tires if they're less than 3/32. And he's telling me I only got 1/32, and that's something else odd. 34,000? I've never had a vehicle that went through brakes quite that fast. I've had heavy service trucks go through brakes at 30, but not a little old 4,500 pound little Jeep. So I was suspicious. So normally on brand new disc pads from the dealership, from the factory, normally you'll get at least 70,000 miles. That's been my experience. This could be different. This is the first time I've ever owned this Jeep. My last Jeep did that, 7,000. So anyway, so I told him thank you very much, I'll take care of it. And what we're going to do today, we're going to inspect the brakes and show you how we'll go about it. Now, I noticed he didn't say the front right was one thing and the front left was something else. So he was telling me that both sides are the same. So we're going to only have to take one wheel off the front, one off the back, just to get an idea. Oh, and on the way home, he scared me so bad. I stopped at Pep Boys and I bought a brand new set of pads. And the first thing I always do on a vehicle, the first time I see the brake pads, I measure them. I'm curious, how much meat do I begin with? Now my Super Duty diesel Ford truck had a 1/2 inch. That's how thick the pads were. Actually, I think there was even a little bit more. I believe they were 9/16, just a 1/16th of an inch more than 1/2 inch. Well, these turns out to be 3/8 all the way around. Okay, let's jack this thing up in the air. Let's get our measure. I got a little metal ruler, and we'll get out there. We'll find out how wide these are. We'll see if these really are. Because I'm wondering, that just seems so strange. 2 millimeters? 4 millimeters? I wonder if he means that's the play. And if that is the play, that does not mean that's time for you to get ready to replace the shoes. I don't know, it might be some crooked back deal, dealership con job trying to get me to buy a brake job. I'm sure brakes would be $500 by the time you get it out of their shop. But it's always been my experience. The dealer would ream you terrible and they'll rape your wallet. But I've always had good work from dealerships, whether it's Ford or Jeep or whoever. They always do good work, but I can do good work too for a lot less. All right, let's get the jack out. Let's get to it. Now, on a four-wheel drive, well, on all vehicles, as you see, the engine and the transmission and the rear differential are all centered right in the center of the chassis. Well, because all that stuff is picking up the center of the chassis on a four-wheel drive, the front axle, the front differential, has to be offset. See how I got my drive shaft off to the side there? It's onto the driver's side, and so is the differential. So my point is, bring my jack in here and start jacking under the differential. What's going to happen is just the driver's side's going to come up, and the passenger side's not going to come up. So what you need yourself, you need a special doodad. And this is it right here. It doesn't look like much, and to tell you the truth, it's not much. It's just some wood put together. But what it's going to do, see, I'll sit that thing right here. The differential is going to rest here, and this is going to come up underneath the axle. So you sit here and take a looky while I get it in place. I built this in 1989 when I got my first Jeep, an old CJ7. And this has worked wonderfully on my Jeeps, on my pickups. There you go. There we go. It just occurred to me, all I'm taking off is the driver's side tire. I didn't need to use my doodad, but as you can see, we're clear there, and we're clear here. But at any rate, now it's time to get the air gun out. One thing I learned when I was a big rig mechanic: before you use your gun, oil it. And when you get done, oil it. And just what I did. Put oil in it, put your air gun to it, and gun it to get the oil up through into the mechanism. And then when you store it. Now if you use it for a long time, and you're using it for hours or so, stop and oil it by and by. So anyway. This thing's tight. You have to do this by hand. Have to get the gun to wrench. I hate those wrenches that come with cars, so I immediately go out and get me a folding one. this one off. There we go. Yeah, look at this. I see they've changed this where the this whole hub comes off. Now if you're ever working on something, you know, rear axles a lot, you'll see these little retainers, and all those are shipping retainers. They transfer these on flatbed trucks, so you could take this off, because once you get your wheel on and your studs, that's going to hold it on. But anyway, so it looks like this thing comes off. Now my last Jeep, the rotor, you had the rotor and the hub and the bearings and everything was a sealed unit. You couldn't take it apart. It made me crazy. And so anyway, I'm going to tell you something I did about that. Okay, well, here's our brakes pad right there, and that's no 2 millimeters, and that's no 4 millimeters. That's pretty good. All right, let me go get my, that's what I was going to go get. I started heading for the garage. I couldn't remember what for. It's for my ruler. Yeah, I was pretty certain. Now, there's your lining right there. I need something to point with. All right, this thing here, that's metal. That's the backing plate. And this here is the lining right there. So what you want to know the distance between the rotor here and this metal backing, and that'll tell you how much juice you got there. Yeah, not juice, but lining. I like it. I don't know why it is I got such great flashlights in my motorhome, but they ain't shit out here. What's more than a quarter? Jesus, they're almost new. What's half of a quarter? An eighth. 5/8 is what I have on there. Okay. So we got 5/8 right there. And you notice the surface here looks real nice too. It's not all ground up. Now, I'll tell you a trick. Well, it's my trick. When you go to buy brake linings, whether drum brakes, disc brakes, doesn't matter what they are, when you go to the auto parts store, he's going to tell you he's got usually 3 or 4 different brands, different models, and each one costs more than the other. And what it is, the cheapest one is just basic lining. It'll do the job, it's safe, but they don't last all that long. The next ones are bimetallic. They got little pieces of metal in them. They last a little longer, but they don't stop any better. But what they are, that metal is hard on the rotor, and it chews on them. The next more expensive ones is see, I can't remember. The next 2 are ceramic and carbon fiber. I can't remember which is which, but anyway, they're harder, they're more expensive, and they just tear the hell out of your rotors. And so the point is, now I don't know what this rotor costs, but I'm pretty certain it's got to be at least $500, and it's probably more than that. I mean, 20 years ago, on our big F-350 Super Duty Ford diesel trucks we drive at work, we were paying $350 a piece for these. A piece, and you need 2 of them. Well, and it's just the whole truck, be 4 of them. And anyway, they were $350 then. So I don't like dicking with these things. I don't like the possibility I would have to pay that. So what I like to do, I buy the cheapest brake linings they have, and they're the softest, and they'll protect your rotors, and they stop just as good as the others. That top end, whatever the top one is, it might stop a little more, and but usually the way they get vehicles to stop more, these supercars, they run a different caliper, they got a caliper. It's got like 6 pistons in it or something, and that puts more pressure on it, and that's what makes it stop better. But as far as one car just putting pads on, I don't think you could improve the stopping power. You might be able to stop a little bit, but I don't think so. Seemed like I remember seeing a Ford Super Duty upgrade brake kit from an aftermarket company, and they did in fact come with that, with different calipers with more pistons. I think these like this one has like one piston. I think that's what it looks like. Yeah, it's just one. And so while we're down here, yeah, see, there's no grease fitting on my steering. I hate that. That means it'll wear out faster. Okay, so anyway, so that's all there is to that. So that's my trick. So that's when I bought the brakes the other day. That's exactly what I did. I bought the cheapest they got, and I'll keep them. By and by, I'll need them. And so let's go ahead and get this tire back on. And I'll look at the back. These tires don't have all that much tread on them. I think this autumn I'm going to have to be tire shopping. I'm not sure if I'm going to put these same tires on there or not. Well, there it is. Where's the rest of it? There it goes. I'm not real impressed with these particular Wrangler radials. Goodyear makes a good tire, don't get me wrong, but I haven't had any trouble with these tires. The last Jeep I had, we had terrible trouble. It says SRA. I swear that's what I had on my other Jeep. And we used to go through those tires. It was a sidewall. They had an extra thin sidewall, and so I popped about 3 of those during the lifetime, well, not lifetime, but during the time I had the Jeep. And that was a lease Jeep, and it was only 2 years I had it, and I didn't like them, so I got rid of them. I was wondering about this. It feels okay. Get going the other way. Now when you tighten these, you want to do a triangular pattern, no matter which ones. So the first one, just seat it. That's all you're doing. Wait a minute. That doesn't feel right. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So all you want to do, just seat it. There. Now give it hell. It's like that'll have to do. Alright, let's get it off the jack. This is the first time I've ever used this this little, feels pretty tight. These arms could be longer. That damn diesel truck I had, those sons of bitchin' lug nuts, they were so bad. Well, not bad, I mean tough, that they had a built-in washer on there, and the instructions said to soak it in 30-weight motor oil so that it wouldn't bind when you tighten it. And then once you put them on, you got them down as tight as you could. They wanted you to get a big wrench, and they wanted them torqued to, I think it was 135 foot-pounds. Man, that's a lot of power, a lot of torque. And I like to bust a gut every time I did that. Because back in those days, I was still young enough, I was rotating my own tires and stuff. I don't do that anymore, if I can help it. I don't even like doing this, but I had to check with that guy. Said I could probably just pass on this one, but I got all my tools out. All right. See if I can get this one off. Trade you places. It would have came off. Not that one, though. As you take a nut off, quite often the next one over to it will loosen just a little. It might be just enough to... Come on, get on there, will you? There it goes. See that? So when I started, see, 4 of them wouldn't budge. When I got the one, the next one went. Then the next one. Oh, I guess we gotta get it off the ground. Uh-oh. We need to be, I think so. There it goes. Whatever happened to my little ruler? Actually, I got a 4-way wrench I bought for the motorhome. It's probably too big. There it is. And this appears to be the same. See? See, I see the hole right there. I like the way he's got these retainers on 4 of them. So apparently this thing comes off too. Well, rear is okay. Now a lot of disc brakes, you'll see on the front, this thing will not slide off. And the only way you're going to get it off is by getting in the center and getting the axle nut off and pulling the bearings out and pulling it out. And mechanics and home mechanics like to bitch and moan and groan and complain about that, but the truth is the engineer is doing you a favor. When your brakes go at about 70,000 miles, that's also about the time you should be repacking those bearings and inspecting those bearings. And if you don't have to, most shops won't. Plus, they bid the job as cheap as they can, so they'll blow through there and they'll leave it. I swear the brakes we got on trucks at work, I just turned 121,000 on my truck. I've had about 2 or 3 brake jobs, and I'm certain that they've never had the front bearings out. I don't know what mileage Ford says to do it. I'm sure 70,000 would be nice. All right, so I was bitching about a flashlight. We got 2 good ones in this truck. There we go. That's not the best one in the world, but it's one of those cheap dollar ones. I know it works. Yeah, see, look, it looks pretty thin. It does look thinner than the front. Can I get this in here like that? Well, they sure aren't going to give me much help with this, are they? Yeah, it's got a mark on the... Okay, there we go. What's that look like? I think it's 3/16. Oh, you know, I just did a no-no. When you do measure these things, you should write it down. No, that's a quarter. It is, it's a 1/4 inch. So it's still not half. See, quarter inch and 5/8. No, 5/8. No, it's one less than... I'm gonna have to get my pencil and paper out. Anyway, these are 1/4, and so that'll work. These here, I gotta admit they're a little rougher than the other one, but all in all, they seem to be okay. They're good enough. And you know, guys will say, "Oh yeah, every time you put on new pads, you should always turn the rotor." Yeah, that makes the pedal nice and smooth and all that. But as long as it's not too bad, you can get away with that. Remember, I don't work for other people. And oh yeah, look at this. See, there's this thing here. That's the rotor. And then the ruler go. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so anyway, that's the inner lining, and this is the outer lining, and that in the middle. Oh, I got my parking brake on, so I can't spin it. And there's your single piston, the piston from the calipers right there. And that's another job I got to do. I got to change this damn brake fluid. All right. So one good thing, I'm glad I guessed correctly, and they was full of shit. So I don't know if they're trying to get a extra brake job out of me or not. But at any rate, I'll let them slide. I'm not an accusatory sort of person. Maybe the guy fucked up, I don't know. Alright, where are we at? Yeah, we're just right there. Okay, so there we go. Right on there. Went right on the top, but the bottom didn't go in. I get one nut started. You watch this. You just jack it up a couple of pumps and it'll fall right in place. Didn't fall in place. There. That's why. The weight of the tires tipping it out. There we go. Okay. I'll give you a tip. Never use a power driver to start a bolt. Because if it misses, man, it'll tear up a whole bunch of threads before it stops spinning. I won't tell you how I learned that. Tool here. Spin. Get it all down the ground. Oh boy. All I got. Okay. Couldn't give it much. I only have my compressor set to 90. Alright. So the good news is we don't have to do brakes this weekend.